I look at intelligence as, is my life, is your life working? Are you doing the things to make your life work? And that has to do with a lot of factors. Hello, and welcome to my podcast, Show Up. My name is Daryl Dittmer. As someone who built financial freedom from scratch, I understand what's possible, as there was a time when I thought I had only a life of mediocrity ahead of me. Drinking, drugs, and zero confidence plagued me. The one thing that changed my life is when I decided to do things differently and give success a chance. And I don't just mean financial success, I mean life success. I started to show up to my life and my career, and one step after another provided me the life I never thought possible. At any age, life begins to change when you start to show up. Welcome to my podcast. Something else that I'm not so chill about is, and I'll ask you a question, are you educated, are you intelligent, or are you both? So I think those things aren't necessarily mutually exclusive, but education and intelligence, I believe, can be very different things. Education is, I went here and I have this education, whether it's grade school, high school, college, grad school, whatever it is, this is what I have. And some people are incredibly proud that they have that education, and some people are doing wonderful things, inventing longer lasting light bulbs, rockets, curing cancer, all that sort of stuff. And I think that's wonderful, and seriously very thankful that we have those people. Then there are people who are intelligent, and I look at intelligence as, is my life, is your life working? Are you doing the things to make your life work? And that has to do with a lot of factors. That has to do with physical health, mental health, emotional health, and I believe spiritual health. I don't ask anybody else to believe that, but I believe that a lot of people do, and a lot of people look at how they're feeling in terms of their relationship to everything else that's going on, and especially the invisible stuff that we all feel, but we can't necessarily name. And so education, intelligence, or both. And there are people who are educated who will absolutely rely on that for their self-esteem and for how they expect other people to react to them and treat them, and that's all fine and good, but it's not a replacement for living an intelligent life. It's not a replacement for finding out how to live in an effective way. And I'm going to leave, financial success aside, at least for now, because financial success, I have a 4-year degree. It's a criminal justice degree. I don't come from a family of anybody that graduated from college. Nobody has a 4-year degree, at least that I'm aware of. And so my dad was a mechanic. My brother was a cop. My grandfather on one side was a cop. My grandfather on the other side was a firefighter. So that's from whence I came. So education it was just something you did to learn to do read, write, and arithmetic. And that was it. It wasn't something that, as a family, we were looking to hang our hat on, like, oh, I went to Harvard, or I went to Yale, or, I went to a small school in Michigan. It was great. To me, it was like a dog park. It got me socialized. It put me in a position, I talk about this in my first book, but it socialized me, and it put me in a position, and I knew this going in, into college that I just wanted that piece of paper because I wanted to be able to get into doors that I otherwise didn't think I was going to be able to get into. So that's why I went to college. And I was fortunate to play a little basketball. So that was another reason why I went to college. But it worked. I became socialized to whatever degree at that point. And so regarding financial success, I have had financial success. I like to term it as though I was able to decide what I wanted to do and made that choice at 48 that I didn't need to chase money anymore, nor did I want to chase money anymore in the crazed way that I had chased it in my previous years because I had never tasted it in my life, and it worked. So that was great. But when I'm speaking of success in life, because a lot of educated people can make a lot of money, but where is the intelligence surrounding physical health and mental health and emotional health and spiritual health? Are you healthy? You might have a few $1,000,000 in the bank, but are you healthy? Have you ripped your heart to shreds and your nerves to shreds? Or have you taken the intelligence that you have and found out how to calm yourself, how to treat yourself a little differently? Do you eat right? Do you exercise? Or do you spend all your time chasing that money? And that's something I had to ask myself when I was in my, I guess it would be early 40s. I had some medical issues that were pretty serious business because of how I was treating myself. And to me, that was not an intelligent way to continue going about my life. And whether I have elementary education or a PhD, that's not an intelligent way to live my life, to make myself sick chasing money. And so I had to change some things. I had to change how I was living my life. I had to change my diet. I've always been athletic, but I had to change my exercise regimen. And so how was I responding to being sick? Was I taking a pill? For a little while I had to, just to sort of stem the tide of what was going on, but I took myself off of the medication. I pissed off my doctor, but I found out how to heal myself with food and supplements, and it worked. And except for a small percentage of time, I have been symptom-free for almost 15 years. And that's pretty cool. So I'm not touting my intelligence. I'm just saying we all have that ability to move outside of what we think is intelligent, which in many cases is not what we're educated for. So how am I going to use my intelligence? How are you going to use your intelligence to improve your life and to heal yourself? And I like to look at it like I'm having the life that's meant for me. Joseph Campbell talks about this, following your bliss. Are you following your bliss or are you chasing something? And I think there's a big difference in that. And a lot of times with education, we're mandated to chase something because that's what education taught us to do. Intelligence might take us somewhere else. And if we can marry those two things, then we win. Then you win. I have friends who are PhDs. You know, I have attorney friends. I have all kinds of different friends who have, you know, doctors and MDs, all sorts of stuff. And you know, they might want to hear what I'm saying. They might not, and that's fine. They can do with it what they will, and that's completely fine. I have some of them with these, you know, big degrees and graduate degrees are have said the same things that I'm saying, that it matters what you're doing with your life and not how you're educated in your life. I know a lot of people who have incredible educations who are taking every prescription drug available to them to stop the symptoms of what's making them sick rather than changing something in their lifestyle so that they can heal. What is that? To me, that's very unintelligent. That's not the way to heal. Healing is a very different thing. Healing does not require, sometimes you have to jump into some Western medicine to sort of stop what's happening or stop it in its tracks so that you can begin a different healing process. But I don't think getting hooked on pharmaceuticals is an intelligent way to go about living when there are solutions for the taking. And I think that's a hugely important thing for you to consider. And I have had to do that many times in my life. So this isn't theory. This is real life. This is experience, and this is how it has worked for me and how life has worked for me and the questions that I've had to ask myself. And I think the other thing about having the big degrees from the big schools and all that sort of thing is there comes this sometimes along with it, and I'm not saying everyone, but many times you don't get challenged if you have those degrees. You don't get challenged. You don't get challenged by someone with, a high school education or a 4-year degree saying, "Oh, Mr. PhD or Mrs. PhD, what about this? You're not thinking about this." And I do it. I don't mind. I know, friends of mine who I've absolutely questions about things and they're open to it, but many people aren't. And I will cite someone who I adore, and his name is Jordan Peterson, and he'll probably never listen to this reel, but one of the things that he says, and Dr. Jordan Peterson, very highly educated, but also a very intelligent human being. One of the things that he says in 12 Rules for Life is surround yourself with people who support you. And you may say this, Dr. Peterson, but I'm not sure you do. And when I read that, I was thinking, well, surrounding yourself with people that support you is cool, but surrounding yourself with people who are supporting themselves, I think, is more cool. Because people that are working to support themselves are much more capable of supporting me in a way that supports intelligence, that supports me doing the right things for my life. And I think that's crucial. If I just surround myself with people who support me, then I might not get questioned. I might not get somebody saying, "Daryl, did you think about this?" And I want people to say those things to me. I don't always take it extremely well, but when I think about it, I appreciate it because I know they're coming from a perspective of caring for me. So education versus intelligence, I believe, and again, this is for me, do with it what you will, but for you to be educated is one thing. For you to examine things and show up in life exhibiting intelligence is another thing. And those two things aren't mutually exclusive in any way. They can be together, and I think that's the most powerful way to live, is an intelligent, educated person. But I think That is what showing up is for me, is to live my life physically healthy, mentally healthy, emotionally healthy, and spiritually healthy, and learn how to do all of those things for myself. And if I show up in that way, if you show up in that way for yourself, you are exhibiting intelligence. Thank you for joining us on the Show Up podcast. To learn more about me, my coaching, or my books, please feel free to visit my website, DarylDittmer.com. DarylDittmer.com. Thank you.